Hello, welcome to the Sheep and Cheerful podcast, episode number 3. My name is Nikki. I am the CEO and host of this production. Obviously, no expense spared here. It's a podcast about knitting and crocheting and spinning and weaving and sewing and book reviews and dogs and really just my day-to-day attempts at living a cheerful, creative life. And if I can share a little bit of that with you, then my work here is done. One of these days I will have something really totally, poised and balanced and straight out, the same every week. But yeah, consistent isn't a word that is familiar to me. Anyway, yes, so welcome. As said, my name is Nikki. For those of you coming to see the podcast for the first time, welcome. And for those of you who've watched the last 2 or any of my vlogs, welcome back. Thank you for popping back in to my little corner of the world. I'm based in the south coast, or on the south coast of the United Kingdom, just outside of a seaside town. I used to live in a seaside town, but about 5 years ago we moved slightly inland, and I live here with my husband, 2 children, which I won't go into. If you want to know all of that, watch and our 2 dogs, Honey and Henry, who will be, no doubt, making themselves heard throughout the duration of recording because they're both in the room with me, as usual. Henry's fast asleep on the sofa, just there. Honey refused to get on the sofa and she's now down under the desk at my feet. But we'll see if we can get through this without lots of foot pattering on the wooden floor in here. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is Clara Peggotty on Instagram. And I also have a very small presence on Ravelry. I've only recently gone back onto Ravelry, and I'm Clara Peggotty on Ravelry as well. But there's not a lot going on there. So I will try and get my projects up there with details if anybody's interested in seeing the details. I also have a pattern on Ravelry, which is called the Ice Dancing Mitts, which is a pattern I designed a few years ago. And at the end of my vlogging for Lent, I put that back on Ravelry as a free pattern, as a thank you to all you lovely viewers. So if anybody wants to look into that, the pattern is on Ravelry, Ice Dancing Mitts, if you would like to have that as a little gift from me. Right, what else? I'm going to look in my trusty notebook because my memory, as a lot of you will know, when you get to a certain age, memory kind of goes a little bit doolally. Plus, with all the surreality of what's going on at the moment, everything is just totally bonkers, isn't it? In terms of day-to-day life, not talking about all the terrible and the really sad, tragic stuff that is going on in the outside world, more on a much more micro scale in terms of day-to-day living. As you also know, Gary's not well at the moment, so that's throwing us into even more. I think I'd cope with lockdown without too much of a problem, but it's lockdown and then the ongoing issues we have with Gary that is probably causing me more of a challenge than I would like, really. But there you are. Nothing super exciting has happened this week. I'm sure it probably has, but it's gone. I don't think I even wrote any knits down. No, I didn't write any knits down, honestly. So I'll probably jump straight in with the knitting. Oh, there is a little bit of news. Looks like Jonah may be coming home to move back home for the summer, which will be really lovely. We spoke with him yesterday. He's down in Portsmouth because he's at university down there, training to be a paramedic, and it's been really unclear. He's at the end of his second year, and it's been really unclear whether or not he would be drafted into the local trust's ambulance crews at this stage. So he's been staying down there. Plus, with Gary being poorly, he didn't want to come back, you know, and risk bringing infection into the house. But it looks like he's not going to be drafted now, which is kind of good, kind of bad, with mixed feelings about that. I know he wanted to get out there, but... And so now, as university has stopped, obviously, all the unis have closed, we've said to him, look, you know, come back, and we'll probably quarantine him for 7 days in his room, which he'll be totally happy about because he'll have his computer. And I'll be feeding him. So he'll probably have a better deal quarantine here than he will down in his house share in Portsmouth. So anyway, so hopefully over the next week or so, we're going to start putting arrangements in place for that, because also the problem is that whilst Gary's been poorly, he has actually been in Jonah's room. So we've got to find another bed. That got way more involved than I intended for it to be. So sorry about that. Yeah, so what else has been going on? Honestly, my mind is a blank. Right. The other good news is that Joe and his girlfriend have a Disney Plus subscription, and they're allowed to share it with three other people, I think. So we're going to have Disney Plus, which a lot of you will know that I absolutely love the Marvel films. I'm a huge Marvel fan. Give or take one or two of the films that I find rather upsetting. We're not even going to talk about Thor Ragnarok. But I've been watching one or two of them that we've got on DVD, but we don't have them all. And I have a huge pile of laundry to sort out. So I think this afternoon there's going to be a date with the Avengers and with my ironing board. So that's that. As I say, I think that's all. I've left anything out. So we'll jump into some FOs because I have some finished objects. But first, in true podcaster professional style, I'm going to have a sip of my coffee. I don't know if I put a sweetener in that. Oh well. I don't drink coffee much at home, but I'm really a tea drinker. But we have an espresso machine that, you know, we dust off occasionally, and today I just fancied a coffee. So that's what I've got. Okay, FOs. Let's start with some weaving for a change, shall we? If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen this. So I'm going to talk about it anyway, so you'll get some more information. You'll remember that last week I showed you a little clip of some weaving I had on my Mama loom, which is my middle-sized 32-inch Ashford rigid heddle loom. And my aim was to use up some of my cotton stash that I had found and to make some gifts for people, for friends, or for, yeah, just for loved ones, whatever. So I decided to make some tea towels or kitchen towels, and that I did. So the first one we have, so these are finished, all finished, washed and pressed. So that is the first one. I'll bring it a bit closer. I don't want to totally poke your eye out, but you can see I've used 1, 2, 3, 5 colours. And then I put the, you can see this, I probably don't need to show this, but mustard red, khaki green, grey, and then I had a teal. And I thought I'd try those colours together, and I think it's worked. That's okay, isn't it? So this is about, I think it's about 16 inches by about 22 inches size-wise. So it's a good size one. When I make tea towels, my favourite kind of tea towel is I machine stitch along where the warp finishes along here. So I zigzag along there, and then I trim the fringe and I leave it because the cotton frays, and I think when you wash it, and I have washed this, machine washed it, and I really like the frayed edge of that. I think that works really nicely. Then the sides, what I do is I turn them over. I secure the edge, even though in theory you wouldn't need to. I secure it with a zigzag stitch, and then I just straight stitch and hem the side. So you've got that on the back, but again, when this cotton washes, it just has a really nice kind of washed look. And it's great, and this will only get softer, as you know, with plant fibres. The more you use them and work and wash them, the softer they get. And I have put a cheeky label on, although I realise this because cotton does shrink a little bit when you wash it, so I should have sewn my label on after I'd washed it. But that's my tag, which just says hugs from Clara, because you know, that's me. So that is what we're going to call the Papa Bear tea towel. Then I changed things up a bit and I made a different pattern for the Mama Bear tea towel. Everything's Mama Bear, Papa Bear today, isn't it? Okay. So I've done stripes crossways and downways there. Again, I've used different colour warps just so you get this really nice fringe on the end. Hemmed the inside, and this one, I couldn't tell you how big this one is, but it's smaller than the other. Hang on, I will hold them up for you. So that's that one. There you go. So it's a few inches narrower and shorter, and you can see there the contrast. So I put a bigger teal panel down the front than that one. So they're the two tea towels. And then because I had some yarn left over and I thought it would make a really nice set, hang on, I'm just going to fold these while I talk. I thought I would crochet a dishcloth. So then I can give this to the friend that I have in mind for it, and for no other reason than she's my friend and she's a lovely person. And sorry if you heard the squeaky door then, that was outside. So I made a dishcloth. I crocheted a dishcloth. This was from I put it was an inside crochet book I think I had. Those of you who watch my vlog will have seen I made a pink one of these back in Lent. So with that, it's just, I used I think it was a 4.5mm hook. I had the most of this left. This is all 4-ply. Oh, I should have said the tea towels were made with 4-ply cotton. So I held it double for this. So it's pretty sturdy, but it's also stretchy. I had the most of this teal, so I used that and then just added the stripes for interest. And then I did a single crochet border just to pull it all together. So that's my little set. Really pleased with that, really pleased. As I said, I'm not a super great fan of working with plant fibres, certainly not on the loom. There's no give or anything like that, but I love hand woven tea towels. I just think they are the bomb. So I think I might warp the loom for another set. I've got something to do. I've got another bag to make, which I'll probably do next week, and then I might get some more on because I've got a bag of some pastel colour cotton left as well. So I've got some pale blue, some pale pink and some cream. So whereas these are obviously quite bold colours, I'll make some pale pastel ones. So that was that. The finishing off of things like that takes a little while. It's quite fiddly, but I think it's worth it. I just looked at my hair. I'm kind of all over the show, aren't I? As usual. Right. So that was one lot of FOs. I have something else. Last week, I just thought I didn't bring the yarns, but I can talk to you. I can be right back. Hang on. By the magic of technology, I have the details here. There you go. Once again, the professional podcaster strikes. I really wanted to make something. As you know, I'm working on sweaters at the moment, mostly. I have a cowl, the Moonweight cowl, which I will talk about in my works in progress section. I just realised I've left that bag in the kitchen. Do you know what? Just before I started the podcast, I was gathering everything together and I said to the guys, I'm making myself a coffee, I think. And then Gary, who's actually up for a few hours today, called out and said, oh, could I have a coffee? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Hannah, can I have a coffee? So I ended up making 3 coffees. And with the machine, obviously you have to make them one at a time, which totally distracted me and let me forget what I was supposed to be bringing in. So, but obviously I can pause it and go and get it. You didn't need to know that, did you? Right, yes, I wanted to knit something. I wanted a quick fix. I wanted to start something and finish it. I wanted to break from the projects that I was working on, but I was very cautious of not starting something else big. I have a lot of big projects that I'm dying to start, but I've made a deal with myself that I have to get some of my, well, the 2 sweaters I'm working on, one of those needs to be finished. So I thought, I've had for a while in my stash, I bought a set of mini skeins from Susie at Elderflower Stitches. Now she came along to Socks on the Beach, which is the group that I organise down in the south. And I met her and it turns out she lived in the same town as me. I said the biggest seaside town where we are. And she's a yarn dyer and she's lovely. And so when she did, she primarily dyes very pastel pale delicate colours. And she dyed a mini skein set called Parma Violets, which those of you who are probably of my era will remember those sweets. I don't know if you can get them now, but they used to be the thing back in the day. So that's her little ball band, and her super soft minis or 520 gram minis that were a high twist 75/25 merino nylon. And so I bought those and they've been sitting there. I have, you can't see, just out of camera, I've got a little basket on the back with my mini skeins in. And I really wanted to do a gradient. These were a gradient set. And anyway, I decided I would make the Sweet Shop hat, which is, I've had my eye on this for ages, ever since it came out actually. And again, I'm going to find you, it's a black and white thing as usual. If you want to see the really bright colour of this, then you can have a look on Ravelry or on your phone. So that's the hat. And the way, this is by Telly Bean Knits, who is Stephanie, who is she? Stephanie Lotven. She has some great designs out. Go and have a look on her Ravelry page. She did the sock arm, is it called the sock arm sweater? Where you have a plain sweater and then you have striped sock yarn all the way down the sleeves. It's fabulous, really good. But anyway, this hat, what she does is she kept the same colour, it's DK weight. And she kept the same colour DK, but she changed colour of the mohair. So you hold it, yeah, one of those you hold with mohair. And so it looks stripy. Well, I did the opposite. I wanted to make the hat out of my mini skein yarn, but it's fingering weight. So I kind of cobbled together. So what I did in the end, these are 3 of the minis that I've got left. I don't know whether you'll be able to see they're very, very subtle gradients. But what I did, I had a skein of Drops Alpaca. I've got 3 of these actually in cream. So I decided if I held one of those with some Drops Alpaca, that would give me pretty much a DK weight. And then I also had left over in my stash box this, which is Willow and Lark. Yep. Mohair silk. I'll show you the label in a moment. So how determined was I to make this flipping hat the weekend? So I decided that that would be my combo. I was pretty sure actually that, drop the needle onto Honey's head. Sorry, darling. That woke you up, didn't it? Yeah, I was a little bit, I was pretty sure that I wouldn't get much for gradient, but I wanted to give it a go because it was such a pretty colour set. So yeah, the Drops alpaca is just a 4-ply alpaca. It's gorgeous. I hold this double with my minis when I'm working on my granny stripe blanket, which I haven't showed. Oh, I did show you. No, I don't know. Anyway, that's for another day. And then the Willow and Lark, I actually bought this, I think, from Love Crafts. So it's their plume base. And it's silk and super kid mohair. And this was 210 meters in 25 grams. And it's a really reasonable price. I bought this when I made a shawl a couple of years ago for Therese Brixton Pearl. I made one of her shawls that called for mohair. So, and that's just been sitting in my stash. So I pulled all those together. And da 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 da. I haven't sewn the ends in. This is actually still a little bit damp because, yeah, I blocked it. So there you go. You can't see the gradient actually on the screen, but there's about the rib. If you look at the rib compared to the can't think what it's called, the top, the lid of the hat, this is much paler, and it very subtly goes paler. So there's about 2 inches of each colourway. It is a bit damp, but I just popped, this is a Toft UK Alpaca Pom-Pom. I made a pom-pom, which I will show you in a moment, but it was just like me. It was way too big, way too heavy, and didn't work. But this, I think, looks glorious. So I'm going to endeavour to put this on my head, even though so it's meant to be a little bit slouchy. I can spin round there. What do you think? I think it's really nice. I really like it. And actually, even though it's a bit damp, it doesn't feel too bad. So yeah, it's a bit slouchy. It wasn't super slouchy when it came off the needles, but if you block it to the size that it says, just put my hair up. My hair drives me mad quite a lot of the time, and I'm constantly putting it up and down and in and out and all over the show. So this stitch is really pretty. It's very, I think it's pretty much the same as you find in the Nurtured sweater that I've also made by Andrea Maori, but it's really, and it's a really stretchy stitch, because you're putting extra yarn in by doing these yarn overs. So I have quite a big head. I usually knit the largest size, and you know, quite a lot of hair. Funnily enough, I remember watching again Amber Yarn Hoarder's podcast when she made one of these and hats, and because she has a lot of hair, and she said the same thing. Both Hannah and I both have big heads. Normally I would knit the large, but I knit the medium, and actually it's easily big enough. It really is easily big enough. So there you go. Really, if it goes over here, I wish you could see the gradient, but you can't. Anyway, Elderflower Stitches yarn, held with Drops Alpaca and Willow and Lark mohair, and it's lovely. That's going to go back on the air to dry now. Patterned by Telly Bean Knits, and I had that. Oh, look, there's another darker. So you can just see there. I haven't got the very lightest one because I use that in the pom-pom. Oh, hang on. No, there. So that's the gradient I was going for. Yeah, the pom-pom. Are you ready for this? I can never get the right size of pom-pom. This is massive. You could use this as a weapon of mass destruction. Look at that. I did put mostly cream, but with hints of lilac, hints of the violet in there. It's lovely. I'm going to keep it on my desk just so that I can pet it. But it was way too big to put on the hat. So, and yeah, that was in my beautiful bag that my friend Deborah, who was Candy Shop Yarns and who no longer dyes yarn, but she made it. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at that lining. She and her sister had Meanwhile at the Castle podcast. And then I've got my bag, my little pin from Jules, which is her dog Mabel. So sweet, Violet. So that was what was housing. I thought that was a really, really appropriate oh, hang on, bag to keep my lovely lilac-y stuff in. Because I'm cool like that. Such a... Well, I was going to say something rude then. Well, I don't know if it is rude. It's something my children say, so I'm not going to risk it. So yeah, that was that. So they're my two finished objects. Okay, sip of coffee and then on to works in progress. Okay, so works in progress next. I'm going to start with my Paloma sweater, which is my sweater by Espace Tricot. I won't go into all the details because I've talked about it for the last two podcasts. It's a big old sweater, but I have made quite a lot of progress. I was going to go, ta-da, and kind of have it on, but I didn't want to risk everything coming off the needles. So, but I am fast approaching the bottom of the body. So here we go. Oh, it's so hard to show you. It's all creased as well. So you can see that's where I was last week, my little rock. And so I have put quite a lot of work onto that. I think I've got about 3 more inches to go. Actually, do you know what? Caution be damned, I'm gonna try it on. Back in a sec. Ta-da! Well, it's a look, isn't it? So you can see, that's where I've got to. Excuse me. You can see these tram lines that are going to go down the sleeves each side. It's a lovely neck, which I may, depending on how I feel, could always roll down like that. And then there is, oops, that's the end of my stitches come off, but that's all right. There is a lot of space here, even though it's pulled onto a needle. So it will be quite oversized. And I think I'm aiming to about there. So not got that much more to go. And then obviously because the sleeves are there, I think they're, I'm going to be making not the bishop sleeves, they're slightly balloon sleeves, which I think will be really pretty. So yeah, super, super pleased with this. I think it's so pretty. It's such a gorgeous colourway. And I think it was totally right to hold the neutral mohair. Hang on, let me take this off and then I'll be back. So now I'm totally covered in fluff because I was wearing a dark purple t-shirt that I put a white mohair Suri alpaca on. Hey ho, I'll be getting in my mouth for the rest of the day. Excuse me. So yes, as I say, that was if you're new to the podcast, the colourway is La Bien-Aimée and it's Pêche Mignon. The colourway is Pêche Mignon and it's by La Bien-Aimée. And again, I don't know, oh, that's not too bad. That's quite a good liking, actually. You can see it's a peachy cream with bits of teal and rose in there, a little bit of grey to give it some interest. And then I'm holding that double with an undyed Suri alpaca silk that I bought undyed from a yarn manufacturer. So direct from the yarn place, mill, whatever you call it. Anyway, so yeah, upside down sweater. Absolutely love it. I am hoping secretly, put that way, that I will have finished the bottom by next week's podcast. That is my target. Probably if I hadn't have taken time out to knit the hat and a couple of other things, which I'll show you, I could well have got to the bottom of that. But it's one of those with long rows and I wanted to enjoy it every stitch. I didn't, what's going on here? God. Okay, one day when I earn billions from my podcasts, I'll have a hairdresser on hand to sort me out in between takes. I still won't help. Right, so yes, absolutely love that project. I couldn't be happier. I am still putting a little bit of work in, or I have this week put, see, got fluff in my eye now. A little bit of work onto my Aurealis sweater, but it's probably not worth showing you. I'm still working on the colour work yoke on that. But as I say, I took some time out to do some other bits this week, so there's that. The next work in progress is the Moonwake Cowl by Andrea Maori. Renee Knits, who I'm sure you all know, and I will show you very quickly the picture. So it's that I've been working on for the past few weeks. We came to a little bit of a thing with this because I'm going to run out of yarn. And I originally said I wasn't going to buy, because I was using yarn from Stash. Again, I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, and which is a Highland Peruvian wool, non-superwash, best kind. But I only had one ball of each, and you needed just over one ball of each, according to the pattern things, and then what with gauge and everything. And I knit my colour work quite looser rather than tighter, loosey-goosey rather than tighty-righty. So I have used that, and also I'm not carrying it up the inside. I'm cutting it because sometimes I'm carrying the yarn with the colour changes, but I'm not too worried about sewing the ends in on this sort of yarn because it's worsted and it's fine. So that said, I have had to order some more yarn, but for the time being, hang on, let me do. So that was where I'd got to last week, and I just started the second round of the chart, and now I've got to there. There, that's better. It looks actually that bit's wonky. It's not wonky at all. Do that. I'll talk behind it because I'm not important, the knitting is. So yeah, I love this. I absolutely love it. I've not been this taken with a project like this for a long time. Not talking about, I'm not including the sweater thing, but I just think it's wonderful. So I've now done 2 pattern repeats of the chart, and obviously when it's grafted, there is going to be the Mobius effect, the twist in there. So I have ordered one more ball of each of these colourways. Sadly, from what I could recall, Knit Picks used to have somewhere in the UK, or you can go onto the UK site and the postage wasn't too expensive, but it's cranked up a bit, and I think probably because of the whole lockdown situation. So because of that, obviously it would have been silly not to order something else. I have had in mind, I think I mentioned last week, oh, am I nudging the table? Is that me or is that Honey? Honey's licking her paw, and I think it's ever so slightly vibrating the table. I want to make another one of these. This is a Christmas present, and I want to make I say a ladies version. I mean, this could be a ladies version, no problem at all. But in my head, I'm making this for my dad. So in my head, this is a man's version. I want to make a version possibly for my mum. And so I have ordered 4 more colours, 2 balls of each. It's fine. Knit Picks is the cheapest chips, isn't it? It's fabulous, good value yarn. So I've gone for, I think, I can't remember. I think it's pinks and purples because that's her favourite colours too. So I've ordered those. So when it all comes, I will continue on. I've got a decent, I mean, I've got, what have I got? That much left. I weighed it. I was hoping against hope that I would have enough to finish, but yeah, it's not going to happen. So I need another half ball of each, I think. So yeah, I ordered some more, ordered 4 more colours, and as soon as I finish this, I'm going to be making another one. So that's Knit Picks, all of the Andes, worsted weight. You can get a superwash version, which is a little bit more expensive. In fact, I had to get the green, the avocado, I had to get the superwash version because they didn't have it. They didn't have it in the non-superwash version, and that's fine. It's a cowl. I don't think anybody will notice. Yeah, I just want to keep showing you that because I love it. So yeah, I shall keep working on that. I don't expect the yarn to arrive for another couple of weeks. So another reason why I may have picked up a couple of other things to work on. Right, so that's that. Oh, let's put that out of the way. Throw that over there. That's my filing system, and it'll probably fall off in a moment, which will serve me right. Okay, quick slab of coffee. Have a bit of your cup of tea or coffee while I'm doing this. Put the kettle on. Okay. So they were the 2 whips that you've seen before. I have started 2 new projects this week, and I'm really excited about them both. In fact, truth be told, I started 2 new projects yesterday. So, oh, I've just had cast-on-itis still, but I'm being very measured. I mean, I've been, the temptation to buy loads of yarn as well. There must have been something in the air this week. Has anyone else felt like that? So many times when I was on the Knit Picks website, so many times I was filling my cart, then emptying it, then filling it and emptying it. And in the end, I was very good. I just bought for those 2 projects, but I was thinking, oh, I could get some more yarn for my other blanket. I could do this, I could do that. And then I wanted to knit a shawl. And so I'll move on to this then. And then I wanted to have a discussion with you about impulse buying and impulse cast-ons. So yeah, watch out for that. Since I've got a fluff on my lips. I really wanted to try knitting one of the Susan B. Anderson Yowza Weigh It shawls. So I had a good look, and what I really wanted, I wanted a straightforward garter stitch shawl, primarily garter stitch, that was a bit of mindless knitting, that wasn't sweater knitting. So although I've had, as you know, I've been toying around with the idea of my chrysalis shawl by Lavagna Patricella, is a little bit involved, and I'm not ready to start it yet because I'm not convinced I've got the right colours together for it. And I think I like to be really enthusiastic about starting a project and really want to do nothing else but that. So that wasn't ticking the box. I got obsessed with doing this Yowza shawl in worsted weight or DK. I didn't have enough yarn in my stash. I didn't have the right yarn. I've got a couple of skeins of DK yarn that are solids, but I didn't want to knit it in a solid. Again, this is for a present for someone. This is a Christmas gift probably, or a birthday gift. Her birthday's later in the summer. And I didn't want to do plain, but it needed to be a pastel colour. And the only DK I had was either plain, or I've got a couple of skeins of bright colours, and that was it. And I had no worsted weight yarn. I even hit my hand spun up. I thought, oh, I must have some hand spun. No, nothing. I mean, what's the matter with me? So I was like, right, I've got to get some stash. I've got to get some worsted weight yarn in. Oh, what a waste of time. I spent so long on different websites searching for yarn so that I could knit this shawl. and I couldn't find, in the end, I even went on to Miss Babs to look at her Yowza yarn. So an American website, which for me over here would have meant highly expensive shipping. And although the yarn was fantastic, it was, you know, it was expensive. And as you know, I'm looking to be much more, what's the word? Not prudent, considered in my purchases. And I just, you know, when I bought the Wenderland yarns from Fig Tree the other week from the car park, I saw it and that was it. Absolutely fell in love with it. And I knew I really wanted to have that. I've wanted to have that for ages. So that was fine. I couldn't find anything that really spoke to me like that. So I abandoned that and I started looking at other shawl patterns to see if I could find a nice fingering weight pattern. And then I hit upon the designer Lisa Much, who came across my radar a few years back. The Grocery Girls, when they first became popular, I think Jodie knit a lot of the Lisa Much shawl designs, and so I thought, well, I'll have a look on there, and oh my goodness, it was like a treasure trove. I've now got 3 that I'm planning to knit, possibly, but there was one that totally fit the bill. It was perfect, and then I realized I had the perfect skein of yarn. And it was karma. It all just came together like that, and it was meant to be. So that's what I cast on. So, first of all, I must talk to you about this bag in a moment. This was a huge treat from Unravel. But the pattern, the Lisa Much pattern, is called Auspice. Auspice. Not hospice, auspice. Lovely English. Okay, and then if you want a better picture, it's a very simple garter stitch and eyelet pattern. And it really appealed to me. It's a 1 skein pattern, which is perfect. Fingering weight, perfect. And I just, yeah, I got that feeling. Everything worked with that for me. So, hit up the stash and, yeah, no, you can't see that. I don't know what, sorry about that. I was trying to be really clever then. I decided to use a skein of West Green Loft yarns, which is Vicky, my lovely pal Vicky. All right, Vic. And Vicky I've known for a few years now, believe it or not. Another lovely lady who I met through Socks on the Beach, I think it was. She dyes yarns and dyes she has a beautiful palette of sort of pastel-y, elegant, classic colourways. And this one that I chose was, she came and did a little pop-up shop at the last Socks on the Beach meetup we had. I said, bring some yarn down, Vicky. She's not that far away from me. And she brought some yarn and I bought some. I actually bought 3 skeins. But the other 2 I've got earmarked for a shawl that I've now found, thanks to Lisa Much. So I used her wiggly classic sock colourway called Anne with an E. I suspect this is superwash merino nylon. Doesn't say. But I think if you look up her classic sock, it will do. I know Vicky loved the Netflix series with an E. She often takes inspiration from TV series. So this is the colourway. Shall I do that? Try it. Oh no, I think that's a pretty good representation, really. So it's kind of peachy, orangey, but it's not. It's a deeper peach than for example, the Pêche Mignon from La Bien-Aimée, and more mustardy, dusky colours. So I cast on yesterday afternoon. You say, it's finished. No, it's not finished. And you can tell how far I've got because I cast on in a short cable, and now I can't show you the whole thing because it's on too short a cable. I have done the first row of eyelets. There you go. Can you see that all right? It's all very well showing you, but then I can't see what you're seeing. There you go. And that's how it's knitting up. That stitch marker is from my friend Emily, Yarn Brary. Hang on. Do you remember last week I showed you the, is it going to focus? I don't know if it is or not. I showed you the knitter's necklace I was wearing. Well, I decided to use stitch markers after all from it, because that's what it's for, isn't it? So you've got a whole series now of eyelets. So it's short rows, actually. That's the way up it will be. And then you've got those eyelets sweeping across. Look how pretty that is. And I think the colourway is just perfect for the friend who I've got in mind. It's absolutely lovely. And you can see, I mean, that was a fair few hours of knitting, and I just sat down yesterday. I was feeling a little bit weary, and I sat down and I just knit on this, cuddled with the dogs, knit on it, and it was a joy. So I'm actually just about to do the second sweep of the eyelets. If you look, excuse me, my cough is really irritating today. So we're up here, and now we're starting to do these sweeps of eyelets, basically. So short rows. I have no problem with short rows. I don't use traditional wrap and turn. I use German short rows always. It's my favourite. I think it looks the best, and I can cope with it the best. But yeah, so that is the Auspice shawl. Lisa Much on Ravelry and West Greenloft Yarns. Now on that point, I will talk to you about this bag. I'm not a great one for spending fortunes on bags. I love all the trendy ones that are around, like the Hide and Hammer and Hohi and all of that, and the fringe bags. Actually, I wasn't impressed with the fringe bags, scratch that, but the others look really nice. But I am the sort of person that, as a rule, would rather spend money on yarn rather than on the bags. But this could all change. When I was at Unravel, Vicky has just started selling products for knitters other than yarn. And she's a dealer, is that right? Makes her sound a bit dodgy, doesn't it? She sells Namaste products. She's got, there's some lovely little stitch marker pouches, needle holders, stitch marker pouches, notions pouches and needle holders she's got in her shop. And these are all leather goods, and they are beautiful. This is totally unsponsored. I'm just talking about it because I love it. And you can tell I love it because I actually got one. I did actually do a trade with Vicky. We did a bit of a skill swap, but that's another story. So how gorgeous is that? It's a backpack. So you've got the straps there. Obviously, since I bought it, we've pretty much been in lockdown, so I haven't taken it out anywhere. But the hardware on it as well. I mean, the hardware, just these details like that, I just think it's lovely. And then you've got the middle section. I can't really show you this. Basically, you've got a really big middle section that you put your project in. So I opted to keep my there is, I don't know, Tosh said, that's Vicky's husband, said that was a yarn guide. But when I tried it fell out. But it could be a yarn guide if you've got colour work going on. That's probably what it is. I don't like yarn guides as a rule because you can't take the project out of the bag easily, or take everything out of the bag, I think, anyway. And then there's all sorts of little pockets in there. There's a little darning needle set in there. Then you've got the back one, which has got kind of handbaggy space, pen holders and all of that. And that zips up. I mean, obviously, you don't need to do exactly and use it exactly as is said, but that's it. And you've got, what's it in here? That's right. That was in the front pocket, and oh, do you know what? I hadn't actually opened that. It's a little notebook, and it's got a little darning needle on a bit of card there, so that comes with it. And that's in this front pocket. And obviously, oh, and then you've got this clip. It's really clever because I believe I'm right in saying that's marked off in inches. So if you find yourself out and about and you don't have a tape measure to measure your socks, you need a rough idea, that would do. Anyway, as I said, this is just something, I adore this bag. They're not cheap, and it really depends on your view about bags as to whether you would buy one or not, but I absolutely love it. And I think I'm quite tempted to go for the needle case as well. I might have to look on Vicky's website. Let's see, have a look at that. I just really like that. So that's what's housing, oh, my shawl. Let's put that out of the way, because if I don't put that in there, when I come to pick it up later, I won't be able to find the pattern, because that's me all over. Okay, how are we doing? One more new cast on to share with you. And that one, we won't be talking about the project bag because it's not in a project bag. Because this was last night, I decided to cast this on. When I was sorting out skeins to knit the shawl, I came across a skein of yarn that I absolutely love, and it's been sitting in my stash for about a year. And I think, why haven't I knit that? So I love tweed yarn. I absolutely adore tweed yarn. And I had a skein of Donegal Nep tweed yarn from Lottie Knits. Charlotte Walford, I think her name is, who actually works for Fibre Space Yarn as well, but she has her own website called Lottie Knits. And I had a skein of her unicorn tweed sock. You just know what this is going to look like, don't you? In the Secret Garden colourway. And it was sitting there and it was going, knit me, knit me. And it was poking me, saying, I want to be knit. What can you do? So I found my next project was a sock. My next sock pattern was a pattern that was designed by two of my lovely friends, Jules, So Sweet Violet, and Amy, who is Taylor S Studio. And they do put a lot of details into their pattern. So it's about 563 pages. No, not really, it's lovely. It's glad I don't print it out in colour. Here we go, Soul Sisters socks. You can see that. So they've done theirs in a rainbow colour on here with different minis, I think. And it's pretty much a very straightforward feather and fan lace pattern. Although actually Jules on here calls it a shale lace pattern. Old shale lace. So possibly it's not feather and fan. Got that wrong. Who knew? Fancy me getting anything wrong. Anyway, enough of that. So the other thing I decided to do, because I'm always one to learn and to challenge myself. Oh, there's the yarn. Look at that yarn. It's absolutely beautiful. How many times can I say absolutely? And you can just see some of the, can you see some of the neps on there? Oh, just love it. Even caked up. Sometimes when you cake up a skein, it kind of loses its beauty. But this, oh, it's just beautiful. So yes, ever the challenge, I decided that I would knit these 2 at a time. I hate knitting 2 at a time. So why would I do this to myself? Because I can, is the answer. And I want to learn to enjoy knitting 2 at a time socks. Watch this space. So I caked up my 2 yards, not bad. I think that was 45 and that was 55, but I usually have 50 grams left over from socks anyway. I decided to do a contrast toe. These are knit toe up, so I'm quite happy knitting toe up socks, but I thought it would be good. I will cast on both the toes, get them started, and then put them onto one needle. So I decided to use this yarn, which is a blue. It's a very soft blue, and I think this is it's Irish. Can't remember. I'll try and remember what it is. The name escapes me at the moment, but it was one of my little rolled up balls that I had left over, and that was in my granny stripe blanket basket, so I decided to use that. So last night I cast on the toe of the first one and started the pattern. That's what we've got there. And again, I'm super pleased. If I turn it round, so the pattern is on the top of the foot, not on the underside, which is obviously the best. And you can see, you can really see the colour of this. The stitch marker is one that I made last year. I made some stitch markers for some friends because I used to work with Polly McClare a lot. That's my little emoji. And the toe is, do you remember, I've started to really like the round, the swirly round, no, just the round toe. This isn't a round toe, it's, what does Jules call it? It's a pattern that she has actually tweaked and developed herself. It has a name. Oh, for goodness sake, where is the name? Here we go. A beanie toe, she calls this. So that's Jules' beanie toe, which again, I think is really pretty. So what I'm going to do, I am going to put that to one side, cast on the next toe and the next few rows, and then I'm going to put them on one needle and do 2 at a time. That's the theory. So watch this space. But yeah, love those. Again, absolutely ticked all the boxes. Really wanted to work on those. Right, another sip. Okay. I've done that. Oh, I had so many other things to talk to you about. I've been spinning. I decided yesterday I wanted to do some spinning. So I pulled out my Ashford e-spinner. Actually, it was because Millie from Tribe Yarns had sent me a message, a query about a spinner. And when I answered that, I had to get my machine out to have a look at it. And I thought, oh, let's do a bit of spinning. So I pulled out, I only had one bag of fibre that I really, really wanted to spin. I'll show you the fibre, and then what I do is I'll just insert a short video here to show you how I'm getting on with spinning. I don't know if any of you know, I have taught a couple of classes at Tribe Yarns on how to spin on an e-spinner. So I have a wheel, but I have been unable to use it for the last 4 years or so since I hurt my back, and I have a bit of a lower back problem, and I just cannot treadle on a traditional wheel. So I bought the e-spinner, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Don't be fooled into thinking that there isn't the same amount of skill in an e-spinner, because really spinning is all about your hands. It's all about your drafting and your fibre handling. So an e-spinner is still proper spinning, in my humble opinion anyway. So this is the fibre. It's a mix of grey and cream and pink. It's a blend. I don't have so that's the second half. So I've split the braid in half. I'm just going to do a 2-ply, hopefully DK worsted weight. That seems to be the weight that I naturally fall to when I'm spinning. And this is from Felt Studio UK. I bought this last year. That's their card. They're on Etsy. No, they're not. They're on their own website, Felt Studio UK. Oh no, it is, my bad, etsy.com. Now, on the card, she's put hand-dyed BFL wool, baby alpaca and mint fibre, 60-20-20. On the bag, she's written, which is what I think it is viscose linen, bamboo and faux cashmere. And that, I believe, is what that feels like. I think the wrong card has gone in there. So I think it's a viscose linen, bamboo and faux cashmere. There's definitely linen in there. I can feel it when I spin it. And there's definitely viscose. And then, yeah, the faux cashmere. I've never used faux cashmere, but I'm pretty sure that that's in there. So, yeah, that's what I'm spinning. So I've nearly done the first 50 grams. So we'll see next week if I've got a bit more. I get a bit of elbow problems because I've been knitting so much. It's been kicking off a bit. So I thought spinning, I mean, it's still a bit army elbowy, but it's a different set of movements. So I thought that would probably do me good to have a break from knitting. So that's my spinning. What else? I think that's all my current projects, everything that's going on at the moment. Acquisitions, I bought a couple of bits this week, which I can share with you. I've kept to one side. Over here, I bought a Progress Keeper from So Me, who is on Etsy. No, she's not. I'll get it right, woman. sorayme.co.uk. I want to say she's Rachel, but I don't think she is. I need to look that up. But anyway, look at that. I just couldn't resist it. Absolutely love that. And then I bought a little pin, a little badge. Again, bearing in mind, it is my aim to be cheerful and joyful in life. I bought that. Not sure I'm going to put that. But anyway, I bought those two things. And then I did treat myself. I found a new to me bag maker, although apparently she's not new to me because she was on my Etsy favourite shops. I've been seeing all these Instagram things about support indie makers. If you can just buy something from them, help keep them going through this hard times. So that was the reason and no other that I went onto Etsy. And I bought this bag. Just beautiful. I wish you could feel it as well. It's so soft. And up this side it says, work hard, be kind, have courage. How could I not get that? And then in the back you've got a small patchwork and Alice there. And it's got this lovely little wooden bobble on the zip. And then it is just plain lined. So it's a bucket bottom and plain lined, but it's a good size. This is her medium bag. So this is from Rachel, who is, and I can show you, she's let's do this, Rachel Jarvis on Instagram, and made by Rachel.etsy.com. Can you see that there? Oh, so I don't get the shadow there. So, and I believe she's having an update tonight. Oh my goodness, some of the bags are gorgeous. So having said I'm not into bags, could well be changing. So yeah, that was happy mail, very happy mail, that. More fluff. Honestly, what with spinning the fluff and knitting a fluffy sweater, I've got it all over me. plus the dogs. Goes without saying, really. Right, so they were my acquisitions, my purchases. I was going to just chat about cast-ons, impulsive cast-ons, spontaneous cast-ons. I have already touched on it really about having that kind of launch pad for a new project. And there's definitely a difference, I think, when you want to start something new, but you just can't settle on anything. And you get all frustrated, or at least I do, and I can't find the right yarn, and I can't find the right project, and I can't find the right pattern. And it's all really hard work. And I end up feeling really frustrated and not doing anything, spending way too long, like I did with the worsted weight yarn, trying to find it, to buy it. And it just... no, it's just not right, is it? Whereas if you see something and you want to cast it on straight away, and it's, yes, that pattern, that yarn, here we go. And I think that makes such a difference. And I think that's the joy of having something in your stash, because if you can focus on that, then you can do that, can't you? You can say, right, that yarn, that pattern. And that's if you know your stash. Obviously, if you've got so much stash, you can't remember what you've got in there, then that's going to be harder. So having enough of a stash at home to give yourself that choice, I think is wonderful. Having said that, sometimes you do see something and you know immediately what pattern it would be great for, and so you buy it and cast it on. So it's tricky, isn't it? I bought too many patterns this month. I must have bought at least 6 patterns this month. And because individually they you know, they might cost £5, £6, you say, oh, you have that, click on PayPal. And then when you look back, I've got this little app that I log my spending on, and you look back and think, gosh, virtually all my money this month all the money I've spent online this month has been on patterns. And it's like, wow. I mean, to be fair, most of them, apart from the Yowza shawl, I have cast on immediately. So I bought the pattern cast on. But that's the other temptation, isn't it? There were 2 other shawl patterns that were on Lisa Much's Ravelry page. And I knew, yes, I'm going to knit that with that yarn. But knitter, know thyself. I knew that if I bought them today, I wouldn't be able to cast them on today. And there would be the danger of them sitting there and then the whole thing getting stale and me not using it. So I think it doesn't really matter what you do or how you shop, as long as you know yourself and you know your strengths and your weaknesses, I guess. Other times it all just goes out the window. But for the most part, you know, we're all human, we're all flawed, aren't we? Just need to be kind to ourselves. And being kind to ourselves doesn't mean spending money on ourselves necessarily, does it? It just means, you know, forgiving yourself. But anyway, there endeth my thoughts on all of that. What else? Blah, blah, blah. Just the book review to do now, I think. So talked about all the other stuff. I think I'm going to go and have a bit of lunch. It's lunchtime-ish at some point, and because Gary's up today, it'll be nice. We can sit and have some lunch together, and then I will be fully rejuvenated, ready to chat to you shortly about, actually it's more of an author discussion today. We're going to be talking about Gretchen Rubin. Okay, so I've had my lunch, and I thought while I'm talking about books, I would be all Jackanory-esque and sit on my settee, and it gave me a chance to give Hello a cuddle and for you to say hello to Henry. Honey's here too, but she's laying down next to me there, of course. So yeah, so this week I just wanted to talk briefly about Gretchen Rubin, the author, podcaster. She does podcasts. You can access them via her website, and I think she does them via Apple and some others, but I'm not, they're audio podcasts, so I'm not quite sure how that works, but I listen to them from time to time. But mostly I like her books, and I have read I should explain. Now, Gretchen Rubin is a kind of, I don't know, what is she? A kind of an organizer kind of person, or a motivational writer, should I say. Motivational would be good. She started off by writing a book called The Happiness Project. So she was a writer, a journalist, I believe. I would have to, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I should have checked that anyway, a journalist. And she decided that she wanted to, oh, excuse me, getting comfortable as Henry flips down on my lap. She wanted to focus on making the most of her days and her time. So she decided to set herself a year-long challenge called the Happiness Project. And that's what turned into her, I don't think it was her first book, but it was her first book of this genre, of this ilk. Now, I have a bit of a problem with people who talk about, oh, the secret of happiness, and to be happy you need to do this, and 10 ways to live a happy life. As a Christian and having a very strong faith, I think, you know, I obviously have my own feelings about how to achieve real inner happiness and peace. But what I love about Gretchen Rubin is that hers are more applied, practical ways, very grounded, very day-to-day, looking at the small stuff that you can do. And it's not so much about being happy. She makes that point at the beginning. It's about being happier with what you've got. So she's not encouraging everybody to go out and seek this ethereal idea of happiness. She's actually does a lot of hard work into making what she's got, or making herself appreciate what she's got within the confines of her own little part of the world, really. I will read you the back of this one. So that is The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. It may well be you've heard of it. I think as I've said before, I tend to come to these things fairly late to the party. I also have these on Audible, downloaded audiobooks, because I really like her voice. She reads all her books, and obviously she can put the intonation in as well, which I really like. She felt that she wasn't focusing enough on things that really mattered. In that moment, she decided to dedicate a year to her happiness project. In this lively, compelling account, Rubin chronicles her adventures during the 12 months she spent test driving the wisdom of the ages, current scientific research, and lessons from popular culture about how to be happy. She found that money can buy happiness when spent wisely, that novelty and challenge are powerful sources of happiness, and that outer order contributes to inner calm, that the very smallest of changes can make the biggest difference. And like I say, it's really practical. You probably, if you've been watching my YouTube channel for a while, you know I'm very, I'm pretty grounded. I'm pretty, you know, make the most of things, love and respect what you've got, all of that. And this works really well. She's an American lady, lives in New York, and well, you'll see the strap line, or the alternative title here is well, it's The Happiness Project, or Why I Spent a Year Trying to Sing in the Morning, Clean My Closets, Fight Right, Read Aristotle, and Generally Have More Fun. So, and she divides it into months, and I'll just give you from her year. So you've got January, sorry, I'll have to read that now. Boost energy. February, remember love. March, aim higher. So each month she finds something to focus on. I've just realised you can see just how dirty. Oh, I thought it was snowing outside then for a minute. Crikey. Just how grotty the inside of my windows are. Thanks to dogs' noses. That. Make time for friends. Pursue a passion. I don't want you to think that this is just a kind of somebody sitting at a desk and go, oh, we need to be happy by doing this. It's not. It really is a really good hands-on enjoyable read, following her journey and her pursuit in what people see as happiness, what they would count as happiness. She has a young family in this first one. Her girls are quite young and a working husband, so it's very practical. She then went on, there's another one. She did go on to do Happier at Home, which, following on the success, oh look, there's a picture of her on the back. Following on the success of the Happiness Project, she did a Happier at Home, which focuses on how to make her home life specifically, or how she can appreciate her home life a bit more. And again, she sets it out in a similar way. She gives herself bite-sized challenges and focuses on those, reads up on those things and researches them and talks to people about them. She also has written a book on something called The Four Tendencies, which is a character analysis thing. I'm not going to go into detail of that because partly I don't have the book here, and secondly it's very involved. But it does help you identify your personality type according to these four tendencies, and how you respond to other people's expectations of you and how you respond to your own expectations of yourself, which again I found really interesting. And after having contemplated on it over quite a long period of time, from listening to the audiobook and reading the book and so on, I finally came up with and realised what my tendency was, and I'm not going to talk about that now. She also has the other two that are really good, that are my favourites, I suppose. She's written one called Outer Order, Inner Calm. And I didn't have that. I don't know whether I've got it in here or whether it's upstairs. I've certainly got it on Audible because I bought it as soon as it came out. And also one called Better Than Before, which I have got, which is all about making good habits and breaking bad habits. So if you like, you'll see actually, I've got, if you like someone's style and someone's approach to something, then this would be a treasure trove. If you like her approach to it. It might be she completely irritates you, or you hate books. I mean, I wouldn't class it as a self-help book. No, it's not really self-help, but it is, or maybe it is self-help. I don't know. But it's not preachy, it's practical and it's funny. And, she shares the downs as well as the ups. And, the fact that she walks into her lounge and treads on the children's Lego. And things like that. But Better Than Before is about, again, let's have a look. This is how she discusses strategies and talking about monitoring herself, making a foundation, working out whether breaking a habit, whether she personally is better breaking it cold turkey or whether it's better to do it gradually. And it's basically, yes, she doesn't think that one size fits all. She talks about a whole gamut of ideas and suggestions that people have had. And in Outer Order, Inner Calm is about the whole organising your home and the fact that outer order and tidiness brings inner calm, which I think is something that I've learnt a lot from. As messy and untidy and as ditzy as I am, I know that what level I need to be at, or what a level I need the house to be at for me to feel at peace and calm. And it does affect my creativity. If, I go to a certain point and I've got, especially if I'm working on a project, usually a weaving project, everything's out. It's all around me. I have to have that there, and I have a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of that. But then once I've done with that, it has to go away, or I can't even think about the next project. I can't focus. If I leave everything out and messy, then I just can't, I'm trapped in this bog of mess rather than enabling a sort of a clean palette, really. A clean canvas, to use an artist terminology. So Gretchen Rubin, she's about, I think she's probably a little bit younger than me, probably late 40s, possibly. Lots of, and she calls them happiness hacks as well. Just quick ideas of things that might just make your life easier. Very dynamic to listen to, I find her. Again, this is all my opinion, but very dynamic to listen to. The podcast she does, the audio podcast she does with her sister, Elizabeth, who is a TV writer over in Los Angeles, whilst Gretchen is in New York. But they chat about things and different projects. They have speakers on the podcast. As I say, I haven't listened to it in a while. It's also sponsored and you get the most wacky adverts on it, which we're just not used to in this country, really, I don't think. But certainly her books and her website, and in fact on her website there is a place where you can, I think if you subscribe to the website, it's free, and you can download your own outline of starting your own happiness project for a year. So, and in fact, if you want to start a group happiness project, you know, there's all sorts of tools and things on the website, which I think is gretchenrubin.com. But if you just Google her, it'll come up. She'll be the top of the Google search. So yeah, there's my food for your thought, for your perusal. They're the three I've got. Although the Happiness Project was the first one I read, I prefer the later ones. I like Happier at Home, but I really like Better Than Before and Out of Order, Inner Calm. So I just thought I'd mix things up rather than talk about a novel or a fictional book. I thought I'd share with you my real interest in the writing of Gretchen Rubin, which is, I'll put the name along the bottom for you so you get the spelling right. Next week we will be back to a fiction book review, because I've already chosen which one it's going to be, and in fact it was a bit of a fight today whether to do these or whether to do this other one. So that will be back to that, and I think that's probably it. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, give us the thumbs up. That's so cool. And even subscribe if you're not subscribed. That would be really lovely. It's been amazing watching the subscribers go up. I'd love to get to the point where I could say, oh, I got 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway. But I will if we get there. Sorry, honey. Sorry, I just got a very scathing look from honey down there. I have done a bit of doggy footage. There we go. There we go. Did I disturb your sleep? I've done a little bit of doggy footage. I don't know if you remember, Henry has a thing about cushions. So I've taken a little bit of footage about Henry with his cushions. And so I'll put that up at the end. And I think that's probably it for now. It's worrying, isn't it? I talked for this long and I find I could still go on talking about other things. So it's stopped raining, although it looks pretty hideous out there. No, that's enough. Sorry. I hope you have a lovely afternoon, or if it's morning, have a lovely morning. Now you're going to get a view of Henry's backside. Up for the boots there. Well, clearly, in economics you learn about the law of diminishing returns, and I think I've hit my peak there. I think this curve needs to be flattened, doesn't it? Yes. Oh, yeah, she's going to go silly now. Have a lovely week. Do message me. Do make some comments below if you want to share anything, or agree or politely disagree with anything. Polite comments and kind, considered comments are welcome. But in the meantime, have a lovely week. Be more sheep and keep cheerful.